Hey everybody! Alright, so this week was a crazy week. I don't know what happened in the air, in the atmosphere. I'm not 100% sure. So I have moved out of cargo vans, and I'm definitely looking in the box truck direction. I did, last week was my third week doing box trucks. In my third week doing box trucks, here's what happened. I rented 2 trucks. I had a third driver that I was assisting with them running their company. And in the 2 trucks that I had, one had my brother-in-law in it, and the other one had my cargo van driver in it. That truck did about $5,600 before any expenses, rental, gas, anything came out of it, which is phenomenal because from the perspective of cargo van, that wasn't something we were able to achieve, was $5,600. I knew that cargo vans weren't the right direction when I rented my first box truck. We were down for 4 days and did about $1,400. About $2,000 in 3 days, essentially. So I knew that this was definitely the direction that I needed to go. And once I can consistently stay moving, we have a great situation going. I am definitely a firm believer in what I told you all in my very first video. You have to have multiple dispatchers and multiple brokers. You cannot have one. I had like four or 5 different vehicles moving all at one time last week and the week before, towards the end of the week. And the only way I was able to consistently make sure that they stayed moving is because I literally had 5 people calling my phone. And some of those people were not getting me loads. They were offering me loads, but the loads just didn't make sense. And others were. So you definitely have to make sure that you are consistent and ready and available to be networking and making those connections. Those connections that you make are the most important thing ever. You cannot have a driver that your dispatcher does not like because they will not book them loads. So making sure that you vet and properly train your drivers is extremely important. I told the driver that I was helping get started, I said, I can't tell you where every door is going to be because I haven't been to every location. We're expediters. We're not going to the same location every day. And because of the fact that we're not going to the same location every day, you're going to have to look. You're going to have to use your eyes. You're going to have to figure some stuff out. And last week was just a disastrous, stressful week for me. On Monday, I had 3 loads canceled. But I had to realize and remember that I had the ability to have 3 loads canceled on me because of the fact that I had the ability to do the jobs in the first place. Make sure you get a truck on order, not used. You are supposed to get paid if they order your vehicle and you don't get use out of it. One of my dispatchers didn't do that. So I had to follow up with him and say, hey, you paid me for the loads that we did, but you didn't pay me for the truck on orders. I need the money for that. Make sure that you're having those honest and transparent conversations because they need to know that you know what you're talking about. Unfortunately, this did happen to me last week where we ended up picking up a touch freight job, and I didn't know that it was touch freight, and the dispatcher didn't fully know that it was touch freight. But at the end of the day, not only was it touch freight, it wasn't just like we could stick the pallet jack underneath it and take it off the truck and lower it. We had to disassemble it out of the crate, and not only did we disassemble it out of the crate, we had to take it into their house because you can't just sit exercise equipment outside. So that's an additional $350 for each of those 2 stops. So the load was originally paying $600. It should have technically been paying $1,300, and it would have been a short trip. So hopefully, as that dispatcher goes back to the broker to get the additional funds, hopefully that goes through. For us, we didn't know to stay in the truck and demand more money then. We didn't know to do that. So make sure that if you end up in a situation where freight and you didn't know that you were supposed to touch the freight, and it's not very specific as to how you're supposed to touch the freight, then that's clarified. They did not request a pallet jack. So I don't know how they expected us to get a 1,000-pound piece of exercise equipment off the truck if you didn't even request a pallet jack. So stuff like that is extremely important, and it's definitely a lesson learned. I ended up taking a load from Atlanta to Virginia in my car, like just car trip, real easy, quick, $600, right? I wasn't able to even make it all the way back to Atlanta before they called me and asked me to return to Virginia because they had another load coming from Virginia that needed to go back to Atlanta. I did not calculate my miles correctly. I did not even look at my miles. I was delusional. I was tired. I was ready to go to bed, but I had a team driver, so that's the only reason why I was able to do the load in the first place. So I quoted them 900. The trip was a total of 1,300 miles because you're having me turn around and then you're having me come back down. That was 1,300 miles in total. I should have realistically charged them $1,300, and they were willing to pay whatever I asked. But because I was sleepy and I was delusional, I wasn't thinking. So make sure that no matter what happens, you get the mileage rate that you want. And I know that seems basic, but when somebody's calling and they're asking, like, make sure, like, double check your miles. I just looked at the time that it was going to take me. It's going to take me 15 hours. All right, $900, 15 hours. That's not that bad. But because I was in my car, it kind of offset because I used half of the amount of gas that I would have used had I been in the cargo van. But that was extremely important. Driver communication. Common sense means everybody's best friend. Your drivers have to understand that if you have an emergency, if anything happens to the truck, and granted this truck was a rental truck, you went underneath a bridge, the clearance didn't fit, and there was damage done to the truck. Your driver needs to know that they call you immediately. When this happened, I found out later. Matter of fact, I didn't even find out from the driver. Found out from my father. Should never happen. And unfortunately, that was a driver who started with me in the beginning, but I had to let go of them. So after consulting like other people in the industry and getting their advice and figuring out what exactly to do, I got a 3 strikes rule. 3 strikes and you're out. Had I done 3 strikes and you were out, he would have been out long before he would have been able to do any damage to me. And I'll do a separate video on just like walking you through that claim process and the company that I use to rent my trucks in the first place, and what happens, and even like the information that they told me. Because I didn't even think that people would make certain mistakes, but apparently they do, and you have to be prepared to pay for that. Make sure that in your driver contracts you specify that they are going to have to pay the deductible. So whatever you decide to set your deductible at, in this situation, it's gonna at minimum cost you $3,000. You can say that your deductible is $3,500 to give you a little cushion. Plus, you got to think about if there's a deductible and there's a situation, right? You're going to potentially have to pay for them a flight to get back from wherever it is that they're at, and you may have to pay for a hotel. And in this situation, I did, because I didn't know when he dropped off the truck yesterday that once he dropped off the truck, that there was not going to be an option for him to pick up a replacement truck right away. And because of that, I'm like, all right, you got to get a flight. And it actually came out cheaper for me to book him a round trip ticket. So now he's got a free ticket on me too. You can take that one way and cash it in to something else, you know? Yeah, just be transparent. Like, work, be diligent, cross your T's, dot your I's, and don't make exceptions. Don't pacify people. Don't say, oh, this is my friend, or this is family or this is a friend of a friend. Like, no, this is business. This is separate. You have to make sure that you cross your T's and you dot your I's. Don't even hire a driver. Get in the vehicle with a driver. If your name is on it, you need to make sure you have a contract. And I knew to do these things, but I didn't always include all the details that I should have included in said contract. Yeah. So that is my week in a nutshell. Each of those things will have little separate videos because some of them, require a lot of frustration to be released because this is not easy. But I saw somebody's post on like Instagram or a YouTube video or something like that, and they literally said you can accidentally make 6 figures in the trucking business, but you won't make 7. I will make 7 this year. Like, I am that aggressive. We're gonna be high 6 figures, 7, because 6 figures was easy as hell. Like, easy, done, did it. Next, all I have to do is stay on pace, and I'm guaranteed to make 6 figures. Done. That's on to next. I need to grow and stretch, and to achieve my goals, I'm expanding my team. I'm making sure that we have the systems in place before we even bring anybody on, and all of that, like every step of everything that I've done is going to be documented moving forward. So I can't wait for y'all to see more and to see the journey, because this is really, really exciting. Like, it's all coming together. But my training information and everything for my drivers is going to be so